Oh,
No,
sometimes I wish I was someone's coach, so I would have a right to beat the shit out of them. Because...
it's too late. I don't get it.
No,
No,
sometimes I
One
wish
more
I
time,
was
chat.
someone's
One more
coach, so
time. One
I
more
would...
it's too
time,
late.
chat.
I don't get it. No,
Sometimes I wish I was someone's coach, so I would have a right to beat the shit out of them.
Oh my gosh. And hello everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a great Saturday morning. Apparently I've got the wrong screen up, so give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're having a great Monday morning, Monday afternoon, wherever you are. My condolences for your loss, but I hope you still have a chance to advance. Oh no, it's the end of the world, everybody. It's the end of the world. I lost a match. Oh my god, the world is ending. The sky is falling. Relax, chat. Chill out. Yeah, I hope you're having a great Monday. It's Monday, yeah, it's definitely Monday. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. I really appreciate the way that it's like it's the end of the world. As though like losing this match, as though this match is the end of the world, chat. So, anyway, chat. Like, I will show the standings. We're gonna be looking at games, of course. So you guys can hear me, right? You can hear the music and everything, I assume. Sorry about the reboot. I had to reboot because basically, what happened is that when I started my stream, I did not have my headphones plugged in. So anyway, what do I think of Fabiano's H4 idea? It's definitely a move. It's definitely a move that is playable. We'll be talking about it very shortly since we're doing the analysis. Nice pineapple shirt. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, all right, hair is looking good. Thank you, chat. Appreciate it. Or actually, my webcam's off just a smidge. Let me move it just a smidge. All right, chat. Sorry about that. Just had to move a smidge. Thank you to Dennis Boros, Chessweed for the raid with 285. Thank you to Aaron Jagger for the 2 months. Thank you to Squirzabic 2009 for the tier 1. Thank you to Jane Rs for the 18. Thank you to Nicholas 2705 for the tier 1. Thank you so much. Pineapple on a pizza is better than a pineapple on a shirt. I have no words for that. Thank you to Euroswiss1 for the sub with Prime. Thank you so much. So, all right. Yeah, thank you to the Krush for the tier 1 as well. Thank you so much. So, all right, chat. So we're going to start looking at the games here. As I said before, not a big deal. Obviously, it's unfortunate to lose, but after what happened in game 1, I certainly don't really care because the main thing is qualifying for the top 4. So that's the most important thing that I would say. Thank you to Ham Dens Blind for the 7 months. All right, so let's play D4. So D4 Knight F6 is what happened. This is the first game. I believe this is not the last one, right? Yeah, this is the first one. Okay, so let's keep going. Thank you so much to G Honor for the 300 bits. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Let's do it like this so that I still see it. Okay. Thank you to G Honor for the 300 bits. All right, chat. So we're going to start looking at the games. Mathematically qualified. I mean, I think if I lose 2 matches 4-0, probably I don't. Realistically, I've qualified. So realistically, that's all that matters. Again, it sucks to lose, but I mean, realistically, the only thing that's going to matter at the end of the day is how the 1 through 4 get slotted. Basically, I think everybody, their goal is to avoid Magnus if they can in the first match. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Nepo losing today helps a bit. I mean, I think right now, Nepo has to basically win out. And he has not played Magnus yet, so of course there's that slight issue. So he really has to win out, and or Maxime has to win out. Maxime has to play both Fabiano and myself. The odds are it's very unlikely, but again, it doesn't matter. Like I said, if let's say I lost today and it meant that I have to play Magnus in the first round of the last 4, I would be annoyed. But it's not a big deal. It's really just not a big deal. Nepo losing today was good as you winning. Yeah, I mean, Chad assumes that I'm like all heartbroken. I'm all upset. Thank you to Brian J. Kinney for the 2 months. But I'm not, honestly. Like, I played a very bad first game, which we're going to start looking at in 1 second. So after the first game, the main goal that I had was just get it to a tiebreak, get a point on the board at least, and then see what happens because obviously this first game started very poorly, and if I'd lost this game, granted Nepo lost, so it wouldn't have changed a whole lot, but I would have been... I would have made that there would have been some drama potentially. Okay, so Fabiano played the same line. He played H4. I don't know if this has been played in core. I think I've seen it before. It was so close on You're Better than at Blitz and Fabiano. Again, chat, I mean, there's plenty that I will say later about that, but I'm not going to talk about it at the moment. I'll talk about it. Maybe I'll talk about it when we look at the Armageddon game, or maybe I'll just wait till after the tournament's over. Either way, we'll figure it out. Volume is okay or not okay? I think volume should be fine. So, all right. So anyway, H4 played. B6 is what I played. The one thing I will say, chat, the one thing I am going to say, though, about Armageddons is, as far as Armageddons are concerned, if I am in another Armageddon on Chess 24, I will pick, and I win a toss, I will always pick white. That's the only thing I'm going to say on the topic. I will always pick white from now on. That's the one thing I will say. So, okay, so B6, B4 played. A5, A3, knight E4. It seemed like a reasonable idea. There are other moves too, I think, that are playable, but it's just kind of, it's a tricky position to play in sort of a rapid game. You're very unfamiliar with what the moves are, so you just want to kind of keep it going. Thank you, JC Putman, for the 2 months. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. I may have. Anyway, we will post the standings later, chat. So, all right. Knight takes E4, D4. Chat, it's just something specific to playing Blitz on that site. I'm not going to get into it. So that's all I'm going to say on the topic right now. Something specific that I recognized, especially in the game today against Fabiano. And it makes a lot of sense why people are playing bullet chess in the openings. That's all I'm going to say. So, okay. So, whoops, sorry. So D takes E4, my bad. D takes E4, knight E5, trade. Queen d5. Again, in this position, the real issue here is it's hard to trade the bishops. The light square bishop is not very good. I still need to exchange it somehow. If I play bishop a6, though, white can trade. And I think there's some trick with queen g4 here. And there are a lot of issues for black. So, yeah. So anyway, so takes, queen d5 is what I played. And now here, bishop e2. Bishop a6. I'm not going to comment, chat, and it has nothing to do with being salty or losing the match. So I'm obviously not salty. I mean, I'm mildly unhappy that I lost the match, but after the first game, I really don't care, considering that I got a point and Nepo lost, so I pretty much am in the top 4, which is the main goal. But there is a. I will just say that from now on, I will always pick white. You can pre-move on Chess 24. You can, but I will always pick white from now on if I'm in an Armageddon situation. So okay, so bishop a6, white castles. We trade. Now, I took on b4. Apparently, I was supposed to play it this way and keep the a-pawns on the board. Again, very hard to do. Thank you, CJ Rebick, for the 400 bits. I mean, I guess this line with a-pawns on the board is supposed to be a little bit easier to play for black. So yeah. So anyway, I took on b4. White takes. I trade. I played the other way where we exchange all the queenside pawns on the a and b file. Thank you to Eo Guel for the 100 bits. Cheers for top 4 and getting the world championship contender to tie breaks. Yeah, I mean, normally getting Fabiano tie breaks, I would not be very happy with it. But after what happened in this disastrous first game, I was very, very happy, very, very happy to get it to an Armageddon. So takes DC5. Again, position here is completely fine. But what happened in this game is that I was already down about like 5 to 6 minutes at this point. And more importantly, right around here, this is very drawish, but I sort of lost my mind at this point. So in this position, black is probably very slightly better if you play queen f5. It's nothing really special. But I mistakenly thought that I could double the rooks and keep the pawns intact here on keep like the whole structure and keep an extra pawn. I completely underestimated the counterplay. Had I played queen f5 after rook b4, I think just queen f3, and it's just, I mean, just an easy draw. We trade, white goes rook f4, 4v4, 2 rooks on the board, very easy to draw. So no issues. The problem is that I was already starting to drift. I was around like 6.5 minutes. Thank you to Bridgeport Mitch for the 3 months. Pineapples for life, indeed. Thank you to Bridgeport Mitch. So anyway, chat. Yeah. So basically, the point I was making though is that at this moment in the game, I was doing quite well, and because I was just a tad low on time, I kind of lost the perspective for one move here. I thought after rook d5, rook c4, c5, queen c2, I could go f5 and I hold the structure, and I assumed with double rooks on the d file, surely there's going to be some checkmate ideas. I'm just up a pawn, and maybe I'm trying to win, which was very mistaken. It was a very big mistake by me to play f5 here. Again, in this position, if I had just been smart and had like an extra minute or two to think instead of just like moving instantly and going brain dead, I would have realized that after f5, rook a4, even though black's up a pawn here, the white king is extremely safe on g2. It's guarded by all these pawns, and it's going to be very hard for me to do anything on the d file, while white is going to be putting the rooks on the b file and doubling on the 7th. So am I qualified? Well, if I lose 2 matches, I mean, who knows? But most likely I am, because one of them will have to win 2 matches. Nepo still has to play Magnus. Maximus to play Fabiano and myself, so I can directly influence that one. So there's a lot going on. But most likely, I would say statistically, it's probably like 90%. I would say it's 90% that I'll qualify. Maybe it's even higher. I'm sure on Unibet, the site that has actual bets, there probably are odds on all of us and whether we'll qualify at this point. So anyway, chat. Okay, so in this position, I played f5. Very bad move. I should have been like, you know what? The goal is to get points on the board and not do anything stupid. So what I should have done here is just played rook d8. And after rook takes e4, I just go queen f5. And again, it's going to peter out into something with like queens and rooks on the board. And it's going to be a draw. Yes, Dingleron did win his match. We will be looking at the Ding games later. It sucks that you lost. Ali Reza has no chance now. I'm so sorry, Alex Gabrielov. I apologize. I apologize, dude. I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. Anyway, thank you to donator Danny for the $7.70 tips. And I'm planning on playing with XQC anytime soon. I mean, I think it's very hard to do it because the thing with thing with XQC is that I think for him with a lot of these games, you don't really have to think a lot when you're playing like RPGs or you're playing FPS games. And with chess, you always have to be thinking. Like your mind has to be turned on, especially if it's not natural. So I think like when XQC when XQC wants to think a little bit and he's kind of in the mood for it, I think it totally will happen. But again, right now we've done it a couple times recently, so I'm not going to press him, and it's definitely up to him as to when he wants to do it or not do it. So yeah, it's a completely different type of thinking. Agreed. But I'm sure something will happen. You're so wrong that you don't when you're thinking FPS. Okay, but you're thinking about the strategy when you play like I've never played CS:GO, but it's since Valorant is close enough. Like if you play Valorant, for example, you're just picking where to stack. Like, do you stack on A? Do you split 2, 2, and 1, like on A and B or A, B, and C? Like, it's very fundamental strategy, and then it's all about like who has the best aim. Like, so to me, I don't think so. I mean, to me, I would say it's completely different. Yeah, at the end of the day, you just have to shoot or build. You can't build in Valorant, you're thinking Fortnite. But yeah, to me, it's a different kind of thing. It's like the thinking in Valorant or CSGO is going to be at the very start when you're thinking where to go. But it's not a deep think. You just think and you make your decisions. Thank you to Mr. Crunch Munch for the 14. Thank you so much for the resub. So I kind of disagree with that. Whereas chess, it's like, okay, it's like chess. The problem is like, at the top level, we get the same opening every game, so you can play 20 moves in a row. But, if you're a beginner, you're not going to get the same opening every game. So it's like every game you have to be thinking from the start the whole way through. Thank you to Shifter 007 for the Prime. Thank you so much. Thank you to Anonymous for giving us up to GigaGat. Thank you so much. But yeah, you have to think a lot more, so it's completely different. Anyway, I accidentally went back. So let's get back to the game. So here I should have just played rook d8, rook e4, queen f5. And again, you're headed for something that's going to be drawish, like rook f1. I think rook e5 is just fine here. Rook c4, and you just trade queens. And the thing with this endgame is even if white wins the c-pawn, this is still technically a draw with 4v3 on the king's side. So there's no way you can lose this. So therefore, f5 was a very bad move by me. I think I was just like, at this point, for some reason, I thought, you know what? I've survived the danger in the opening. I'm up a pawn, and I'm going to win, which was very, 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 very poor judgment, very poor thinking. Obviously, I was just waking up as usual because literally almost every day I'm waking up like 10 minutes before the game starts. So anyway, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, playing f5, which is utter insanity. I just thought, okay, I'm up a pawn. I'm getting the double rook. Surely I'm going to have enough counterplay to mate his king. But Fabiano played this pretty well, I think. I suspect this is still drawish, but for humans in a game where you don't have a lot of time, it's very, it's going to be very, very hard. And here I blundered too. I thought that, what did I think I had here? Right, I thought I could take, yeah, and I thought I could go queen a1 as well. I completely forgot that on queen a1, he has queen c5, and rook b1, I actually lose here. I'm one tempo too short. and queen g5. Do you ever worry about oversleeping for these games? As a deep sleeper, I'd be terrified. Well, I'm not a deep sleeper to begin with, but I always make sure to set Alexa. So I set an alarm on Alexa, and I also set an alarm on my phone. So I always have 2 backups for alarms to make sure I wake up in the worst case. And last but not least, as I said, I'm not a deep sleeper, so I usually my mind's going to be thinking or something's going on. I'm going to wake up anyway. All right, so in the game, I played this Rook C7. Again, probably this is still drawable, but again, in a blitz game where you have no time, going like this, I mean, it looks so scary. Your king is so open, and you're worried about getting checkmated here. So objectively, this might still be drawable, but it's very, very hard to play like this when you have no time. Market's open at 9:30 Eastern. Yes, I know that, but I don't really have anything other than long positions at the moment, really, so I'm not trading at the moment. I will be getting short Tesla soon, though. I saw it's up like 8% on some nonsense news about the factory reopening. I think you just scowl for the Prime sub. So I'll probably be getting short Tesla right ahead of the earnings call, which should be in 2 days. I think it's on Wednesday, so that's probably what I'll be doing. Anyway, chat, back to the game. Okay, so queen f6, queen e8, and already it's very hard. The problem is if I ever lose the c-pawn, I just lose the game basically because, again, my king is so open, and his king is just, he's got a dream king here. The king is like behind all these pawns. Very, very safe, nothing going on, so it's really, really good for white. So here I play king h6, the start of the mistakes. King g7. During your next match, if you're at 1.5 into game 4, is white, are you going for the win or the draw? I mean, I think I play on Wednesday, so actually, who plays tomorrow? Maxime plays tomorrow, so already I'll have a very good idea of what the situation is going into the final, into round 6. Because Maxime plays tomorrow, Ali Reza plays Anish maybe, so actually one of the matches tomorrow is a complete nothing burger because obviously Anish and Maxime, or not Anish, sorry, Anish and Ali Reza have been eliminated. So really, what I do in the next 2 rounds, more or less, is going to be determined by where I want to finish in the standings. So we'll see what happens. Oh, Maxime plays on Wednesday. Oh, so who plays tomorrow then, chat? Who plays tomorrow? Who plays tomorrow, chat? Magnus plays Jan. Okay, but Nepo is also on 5 points, so it is important. So yeah. Anyway, chat, let's keep going. So here, I played king g7. Fabiano, very to his credit, plays queen b8. I think rook e6, queen f7 is still very good. But again, you reach a queen and pawn endgame where I think it's objectively a draw here because of the pawn structure. And again, black can just make 50 moves without thinking. So it's very smart of Fabiano to not take the pawn. Maybe I should have gone queen f7 first to force him to take. But I think white can still ignore it with queen d8. And again, it's a very dicey position, very hard to play here. So, yeah, I lost the game but moved from second position to first. Again, this first game I was very unhappy just with the whole game because right around this point when I got out of the woods, to lose my mind and think that I could play for a win was just pure insanity on my part. And Fabiano was just very, very precise, I think, through most of this final portion. Now rook c6, collecting the pawn on c5. Rook c8, I went king h6 again, trying to dodge stuff. Rook c5, white can take all day. The king is just so safe. You can just take, go drink a coffee, come back and, come back to the board, put the queen in the rook and just sort of harass the black king here. So rook g7, rook c6, rook e7, rook c8, rook f7, rook e8, rook e7, which is a final blunder. Tesla is going to go down on earnings. Sorry, chat. That's just the reality. It's overpriced as is. I'd like it to be more like 900 before I short it, but we'll see. We'll see where it is tomorrow and on Wednesday before earnings. Okay, so rook e8, rook e7, queen d8. Very nice move here by Fabiano, and after queen d6, now the pawn on e6 is hanging, and now it's just GG's basically. Nothing you can do. Just completely lost at this point. I mean, I'm going to lose the pawn. I went king h5, rook e6, queen g7, queen f4. I played rook f6, the final blunder. Again, though, the king is stuck. The queen is stuck too. The rook covers all the key squares. I can't go to g4 because there's checkmate on h6. So it's just technically lost. So if rook f8, I assume white can win here. Like, okay, white can just kind of chill. And now there's got to be some way. What is it? It's saying rook c6, rook c8, and where's the killer blow? And g4 here. Because if queen g4, then there's rook h6 mate. If I take with the pawn, there's rook c5 check. If king h4, queen g3, again checkmate. Rook cuts all the squares on the fifth rank. And if king h4, surely there's a forced mate. Like g5 looks like one mate. Queen g3, king g5, gf5 just wins the queen in the game with it. So that's why anything's hopeless. I went rook f6, but after g4, if king g6, there's queen takes f5. You can't capture the queen because it's pinned by the rook. And on king h4, there's just g5, the check. And now you win the rook on f6, and it's completely winning for white. So I lost this first game. Very, very unfortunate first game, especially after surviving what I thought was a slightly dubious opening and getting to the middle game, and then to kind of lose my mind and play this f5 opening up the king side. Very, very bad decision. Fabiano played. I don't think he played it perfectly after that, but he played very well. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely good enough, and his technique was really, really good. So there wasn't much I could do in this first game. But again, that's life. No big deal. Let's move on to game 2. This game, obviously, coming into this game, I was in a very, very, very sour mood. Gershek says I'm swearing in Armageddon. No, so I was talking to myself, but what I was saying like I was just like too slow is what I was saying. I was not swearing though. Yeah, feign. So d4, d5, c4, c6. Knight f3, knight f6, queen c2, dc4, queen c4. This is what I think Ali Reza played this against. Fabiano actually a couple of rounds ago. So bishop f5. Sorry, chat. We already looked at the first game. We're gonna keep going on. What's up with pineapples? I mean, pineapples are a great fruit to eat. So, okay. So this is a very, very slow kind of positional game. Not much happening. So castles. Queen b3, knight d2, knight d7, knight c4, queen a6, bishop f4 is what I played here. Pineapple on pizza, that is like the worst thing I've ever heard. I mean, pineapple on pizza is literally the worst thing I've ever heard of. So don't ever suggest pineapple on pizza. If you do, you're so uncultured. Like you're just not okay. Pineapple on pizza is literally the worst thing I've ever heard of. Literally, there's nothing worse in the world to eat. So knight b6. I mean, what, you want your Hawaiian pizza with your pineapple and your ham? Bleh. So gross. Anyway, okay, knight b6, bishop d6. Rook e8 played. Knight d2. So this kind of was new. I think before the game I'd looked briefly at bishop d6, and I think black is fine. But Fabiano played rook e8, so I played knight d2. Saying that with a pineapple shirt. I mean, I'll eat a pineapple, just not on pizza, chat. I mean, pineapple is fine, just not on pizza. So rook a d8 trades. I played e3, now knight c4, and Fabiano went bishop e4. And here I played a move that I think is wrong. I went rook c1, which basically gives away the advantage. In this position, for some reason, I forgot that I could play f3, bishop d5. And now I have this very nice move, queen to b4, which you take the queen out of the pin, and you also attack the rook on e7 here. Thoughts on Moxie being the smartest ever? Okay, chat. Okay, Moxie. I haven't watched Moxie's stream. I've watched like most of the other guys. Like I've watched Hassan, I've watched XQC, but I haven't actually watched Moxie's channel yet. So I'll have to check it out at some point. Anyway, so f3 is a very good move because there's queen b4. Now I can move the knight and push the pawn and attack the bishop on d5. But I wasn't sure, so I played rook c1 here. Bishop g2, and now Fabiano found c5, of course. And after c5, I mean, I can pretty much kiss any advantage goodbye here. And it's just like bleh, very blah. So yeah. So yeah. So anyway, chat, let's keep going back to the game. So c5, I took the pawn on c5 here. F3 is a very good move. Yeah, F3 is a great move in this position because I keep the bishop on the board and I build the center here. And it's just it's a lot more harmonious because what I did in the game, Fabiano, I actually didn't think Fabiano was flawless in Armageddon. I thought in the middle game there he made a couple mistakes, and there was like one point when he went knight g4 that I think I had something, but I mean the clocks were going so fast that there wasn't. I mean I looked up, and every time I looked up, somehow I had like 20 seconds less than I thought I should have on the clock. But yeah, proper pizza includes cheese and meat. Proper pizza, you know what a proper pizza is, chat? A proper pizza is a nice margarita pizza with just like, actually not margarita, it's like a nice marinara pizza. Like the marinara, like the San Marzano tomatoes from Italy, with just, you know, just the like the tomato marinara sauce, some like oregano and some like pepper. Like that's the best kind of pizza. Anyway, so c5, d5, queen c6, king g1, queen c5, and already the position's completely gone now. It's just very equal, nothing that I can do here. So queen a3 here, rook c7. Actually, big mistake by Fabiano. The game is still drawn, but after queen a3, if Fabiano just trades the queens and plays g5, this is a complete draw. Like black might even be very slightly better, but there's nothing that I can do here. And if Fabiano had done this, I probably would have lost the match in regulation, and things would not have been looking very good. Fortunately, Fabiano played rook c7, overlooking this very nice knight d6 move that I have here. And the reason this is so dangerous is because now when you trade the rooks, I get the c file, but you also can't take back because then I make a check, and you get back rank mated here. The king can't go up. So yeah, after knight d6 is very tricky for black. What Fabiano did, I think, is good. Now here I played rook c8. I really wanted to go knight b7, but the problem is after rook d2, black just gets way too much counterplay. There's like knight g4 coming, knight e4 coming. The whole structure is very loose, and I can't get these queenside pawns rolling in any kind of rush. Yeah, pizza is kind of fatty. Got to watch it. Yeah, I haven't had pizza in. When was the last time I had pizza? I haven't had pizza in I don't know. I haven't had pizza in probably like at least 3 months. I don't know. I haven't had pizza in forever. So yeah, I haven't had pizza. Although that sounds good. Now that I'm thinking about pizza, it sounds really good. So rook c8, knight c8, a6. Have I been to castles? No, I haven't. So knight d6. I eat pizza every day, and I'm Italian. Yeah, but if you eat pizza every day, you get fat. That's the problem. So b5, with just too many calories and too many carbs. So here Fabiano went b5, which I thought was a mistake. I think b6 here, and if I try to play knight c4, just knight d7, guard the pawn, bring the king in, and again, black should be completely fine, no issues whatsoever. So Fabiano played b5 instead, and now I went knight b7, king f8, knight c5, and now the pawn on a6 is very loose. Again, I didn't understand why Fabiano didn't play knight d7 again, just to cut knight c5 and bring the king close. Seemed to me like this should be fine. So I don't know. To me, it seems like it seemed to me that like Fabiano kind of, I don't know if he just was kind of like just careless or he wasn't really like focused, but it's just like he kind of I think just he got careless and sort of assumed that it was just an easy draw, so he just played king f8. And now after knight c5, a5, knight b3 here. I'm hitting the pawn. I'm going to go knight d4 and hit the pawn. And black has to be very careful because if he loses one of these pawns, I'm going to be up a pawn in a knight endgame. And knight endgames are one of the endgames where if you're down a pawn, it's one of the most likely endgames where you're going to lose. Like I would say probably 80 to 90% of the time, you're going to lose a knight and pawn endgame if you're down a pawn, especially if your opponent gets an outside pawn somewhere. So Fabiano went a4, knight d4, b4, knight c6. And now here Fabiano missed a really nice idea. Like he played a3, which is maybe okay still, but Fabiano is really nice with knight d5. And now on e4, he has this brilliant move, knight to c3, which I saw during the game. And if I take the knight, he goes b3, and my knight actually cannot stop the pawn from getting the back rank and making a queen. And if I take on b4, black can take on e4, and white's maybe still better, but it's even material. It's 2v1 outside, but it's going to be very hard to win this pawn on a4 with my knight because the knight covers 2 key squares from which I can attack the pawn. So to me, it seems like Fabiano he got careless because on a3 after b3, I think Fabiano didn't realize that the problem here is that I can give up a pawn, and he's not guaranteed to win one of these two pawns on the queen side here. So knight d5, I played f3, which I think is a mistake. Maybe f3 is not a mistake. Actually, after I played f3, I thought it was a mistake because I wasn't sure what was going on if Fabiano took and played f5 here. This was a line I wasn't sure if I was winning for sure with like king f2, f4 to support the knight because the knight needs to cover the square. Otherwise, I'm going to win the pawn on a3. f3 is correct. Okay, I mean, during the game, I was trying to calculate this and I wasn't sure if this is winning or not. So, I guess this is winning, but during the game, I wasn't so sure. Like king e4, e5. And I wasn't so sure this is a clean win for white. Computer seems to think knight d3, knight d1, takes, knight c3, takes. I mean, yeah, I saw this line, but now there's knight c1, and if I go b4, then there's the fork to collect the pawn, and maybe this is winning, but it feels like 2v1, especially with the pawns being split like this. It should be a draw with correct play. So I thought that this actually worried me during the game when Fabiano was thinking for a while, because I thought, well, why did I go f3? Because I could more or less have the same thing with e4, knight c3 takes, and play like f3 and bring my king in like this and avoid this whole f5, f4 thing. So actually during the game, I thought this was a better try. Evidently, I'm completely wrong, and what I did was correct, weirdly enough. So I guess I should feel happy about that, because when Fabiano was thinking for a while here, I was really concerned about this knight e3, f5, f4 idea. And Fabiano took, and then he played this knight d1 move, which is completely insane. In this position, black basically has to go f5, f4, like I just mentioned, or he has to try to play an endgame with knight d5. And again, with only like 5 minutes on the clock, you can't really calculate what happens in this endgame. I wasn't sure, but I assumed that white is winning because I can go king f2. We bring the kings forward, and I go king d4. And I assumed that at some point, when he plays like h6, we basically end up in a position, let's just say h4, takes, h5. Let's say I go f4, f6, b4, king c6, and king c3, and I guess I'm winning here. Yeah, I'm winning, because after king b5, king b3, he has to go d4 takes, and then I just bring my king back, takes king c2, and I create the outside pawn. I distract the king, and then my king comes in and gobbles up all these pawns, and I win. But again, I wasn't sure about this line. I assumed that it was winning, but I wasn't sure at the time. But Fabiano played knight d1, which made everything a little bit easier. Armageddon doesn't seem like your cup of tea. I mean, I don't mind Armageddons normally, but I'm going to definitely be picking white from now on if I'm in an Armageddon. That's as I said before, I'm 100% picking white. Thank you, Dan Walker, for the Prime sub. Thank you so much. White and Flagum, I mean, it is related to Flagum, but I don't want to talk about the topic. I'll discuss specifics about it after the tournament is over, chat. So, okay, thank you to Ed WHID for the tier 1. Thank you so much. Knight d1, I played king f1. Again, chat, please don't keep asking, because I don't want to say something. I'll say it after the tournament is over. So knight c3, king e1 is played. King e7, king d2, knight b5, king d3. And now the point is I bring my king in. The knight is coming in to try and attack the pawn on a3. And at this point, I think it's already very close to lost for black. Maybe there's a way to draw this, but king d6, king c4, knight a7, maybe it's still a draw because knight c2 is knight c6, but it's already very hard after f4 because you're going to be losing the pawn on a3 here, so I'm getting two connected. And maybe takes e5 is still a draw, but it's very iffy here. Actually, maybe it's not iffy at all. Maybe it's just an easy draw. Huh. Maybe it's just an easy draw. Maybe it's just an easy draw. I don't know. So apparently Fabiano really, he really screwed the pooch in this game because like, apparently this is just an easy draw, I guess. Knight a7. And knight c6, knight e5. Huh. Okay, this is disappointing. This is really disappointing, chat. I'm very disappointed. I didn't think it was this easy. So Fabiano went e5. I went knight c2. Again, important moves after e5. He wants to go knight d4. But knight c2, just basically I hit the pawn, but I also covered the all-important d4 square from which he has access, and I bring my king over to attack. And here Fabiano played king e6. This move, I think, loses on the spot. I think Fabiano had to try king d6 and king c6. I wasn't sure what's going on, but the line that I calculated was knight f5, and I figured the knight is good here. It boxes his knight. I keep the knight shielded. At the same time, he can't really create passed pawns here, but after king c6, I wasn't really sure how I can win here either. So very, very tricky. I mean, maybe this is winning for white after g4 and king b4. I didn't see the forced win here. Maybe it's... Why is the computer saying it's so good? Maybe after h2 is just winning. Again, it's going to be some very long endgame that really... Maybe there's some technical line that wins by force. I saw this position, but I wasn't convinced there was a clear win. But anyway, the computer seems to think it's winning, so probably it is. So king d6 would have made more sense. Instead, Fabiano went king e6, and now after king c4, I think black is completely lost here, because now you have to play knight d6, and after king c5, I'm getting the pawns, but not only am I getting the pawns, my king is going to be shielding the knight and the king, and these pawns are going to have a free. It's just a free roll down the board to make a grill. So, yeah, he plays h5, I take. Plays e4, I take, and go knight c2. And now I think it's already game over. Again, like I said, problem is black can't really create passed pawns. My knight is very good at stopping the pawns, and these pawns just have a free roll down the board. So f5. Now I played knight e3. Maybe not the best move. I was trying to be very technically sound about this. Thank you to Doc Monarch for the sub with Prime. Because basically the idea is I want to stop f4 because it takes. I just take the pawn of king f5. Very importantly, I have this h3 move. Not knight f2 because that would lose knight to e4. And now black is winning because the f pawn is coming down the board. So I was trying to be very technically sound. I think this is still correct. But now I played something bad. a4, f4, I played knight f1, which I think is a very bad move. Maybe it's still winning easily, but I was very upset at myself because I realized I could have just taken and gone knight f1. And now the point here is that black can't ever create a passed pawn, and my knight already prevents the f pawn from queening. So again, the a pawn is just going all the way up the board here, and it's just a forced win. So thank you to Bellarotanti for the sub. Thank you so much. So this would have been very clean because as I realized during the game, when I play knight f1, f3, black can actually, if I'm not careful here, like here, king c5 is the only move that wins, chat. This is why I was very upset, because I realized during the game that I was just going to go a6 originally, and then I realized he goes knight b4, takes, and now after e4, black is actually winning the game here, because b4, king d5, b5, king d4, b6, e3, black has an extra pawn. Now, if we think about this, let's go back to the other line. If I play this way, he goes knight d5, a5, like, you know, king e5, a6, this just wins, because he doesn't get the two passed pawns here. And it's just a very easy win. It's very routine. So I was very upset with myself that I allowed this. I mean, luckily king c5 still wins, but I was very upset because I gave him this extra idea that I never should have given him. And now it's winning. Why am I scaring you? I'm scaring you? How am I scaring you, chat? Because here, I mean, if black plays knight c7, of course, now I just put the knight here and the blockade is solid, and now the pawns go up the board, so it's no issue. And after e4, I just go king d4. And now, importantly, if black goes e3, I just take. If takes, I take. He has to bring the king to stop the pawn, but now I can just break the structure here. Takes, king f3. And now you have what the Russians affectionately call the trousers. The pawns are split too wide. The king can't cut both ways to stop both pawns from queening. Thank you to File Cabinet 5 for the 2 months. Thank you so much. Thank you to Matam 4 for the Prime. Thank you so much to both of you for the resubs. So yeah, trousers. It's a Russian proverb. Daniel Naroditsky would know it, but it's called the trousers. So like, for example, let's see. Can I get a better? Let me go back. Is there a better example somewhere in this game that I can get? No, there isn't. So anyway, the point is that basically the trousers or the pawns could be F and A, E and A, D and A, but it just depends how wide the trousers are split. Like, you know, are the trousers going to tear? If the trousers are going to tear, they're so far apart, then it's always going to be winning with the pawns. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Thank you, Lethal. Appreciate the comment. For being a chess channel, this is like having 300,000 viewers on Valorant. Yeah, right. So yeah, with the pawn split like this, it just wins. Fabiano went king d6, and after king e4, king c5, just a6, distract the knight and the king, keep him preoccupied. Again, I have to be very careful here, I think, because if I go king f5, I guess no, king d4, I can just take, and he doesn't have time for knight e3 because I just take the pawn and go a6 and make it queen. But a6 is just simple because now he has to use the knight to go back. He can't go grab the pawn because the knight hangs and I just bring my king. I mop the pawns. And again, you have the trousers. You've got like B and G or B and H. There's no way black can stop all three pawns. Did I just make something up? No, it's a Russian phrase. I don't know what they call it in Russian, but only the Russians would have a saying where ruining your pants is good. Good one, chat. Good one. If you eat too much pizza, your trousers will split. Good one, chat. Good one. Good one, chat. Anyway, if there are people who speak Russian in chat who are chess players, they would know what I'm referring to. I don't know what the phrase is, but like it's called the trousers, basically. Tear the trousers, yeah. In Soviet Russia, trousers wear you. Yeah, so this was game 2, which I won. Very important win because I had nothing out of the opening. And I was down 1 point. So I won the second game. So let's move on to the third one. So, all right, let's flip the board again. So this game I was black. We played the same line. He played h4. So this game I played the same thing. And I played bishop a6 right away. He took. Again, Fabiano improved on his previous game where he castled. So takes, castles. Now I played rook 8. Very tricky position. In this position, if I play like a move like b5 here, white can blast the structure with a4. And if I take the pawn after takes cb5, I think after queen a5, white is very... Oh, no, not queen a5, sorry. After queen to b2, I think white is very close to winning because he has this nice connect 4. He's got a very strong pass pawn along with the bishop. And I'm going to end up losing both of these pawns on the b file here. So this is very, very good for white. So in the game, I decided to play rook a8, which actually is a blunder. We both blundered here because after cb6, rook b6... Chat, by the way, just to be clear, when you talk about Armageddons, every over-the-board Armageddon that I've ever played, I've won. So so you guys should realize there is a difference. All right, so rook takes b6 is what I played here. And actually, Fabiano blundered. He played bishop c7 here, when in fact queen g4 is probably very good for white, because after queen g4, f6, bishop c7, the big difference is the pawn cuts the bishop. So I don't win the pawn on h4 here. And actually, Chad, I think on chess.com I've also won most of my Armageddons as well. So it is what it is. Take that for what you will. But anyway, so cb6 is played. I take. Bishop c7 was played by Fabiano. Of course, queen g4 is much better. Rook a6 takes. Bishop takes h4. And now it's even material, but the difference here is with even material, the bishop on a5 looks good if white can take advantage of the c pawn. But if white can't take advantage of the pawn on c6, then the bishop on a5 actually is not very good because it's completely out of play here. Yeah, Fabiano blundered the h pawn. Yeah, I mean, well, I think we both just forgot that queen g4 was a move here, honestly. Because if we had seen queen g4 in this position, I mean, neither of us would have played this. So yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. So takes, bishop h4, rook c1, bishop e7. Rook c3, bishop d6 here is what I played. And I guess white is better here, but I've got very nice piece positioning. The queen is good. It supports the pawn. I can maybe try to create mating threats long-term potentially. And white can't really use these pawns on the queen side because otherwise the bishop will hang. So it's very hard for white to prove an advantage here. So Fabiano went queen c2. I played h5. Getting 3.5 from Fallujah was huge for tiebreaks. Well, it's a shame I didn't get 4 against Fallujah, like I should have. Thank you, Symphonic Knight, for the comment as well. Appreciate it. So rook c1 is played here. I played rook c8, queen e2, rook a8. So rook c5 was played by Fabiano. I mean, maybe not the best move here. I think here white's still okay. The problem for white here is that basically all these endgames are tricky because if white tries to play even this endgame, it looks very pleasant. Bad pawn. Whoops. Why did I do that? Sorry, chat. Sorry about that. Let me I do that every so often. Let me make sure. Make sure that I do this just right, chat. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, chat. Anyway, like it looks like white is doing very well here, but the problem is I play rook c8. I don't know how to lock it. How do I lock the chess? Every so often I like click somewhere on the board and something goes all wrong. But anyway, yeah. So the thing is, white looks much better because I have a bad pawn on c6. But at the same time, as I said before, white can't use these pawns because the bishop on a5 is terrible. And if white plays e4, I go king f8. If I get the king to d7, black is probably winning. For example, let's say something like this. After rook h8, black is close to winning because the bishop is stuck on a5 forever. You can never free it. The rook and the king guard the pawn, and now I just have a free run on the king side to push the pawns. So anyway, right. So that's why Fabiano played rook c5. Very interesting move by Fabiano as a trade. Queen b3 is what I played. Yes, and there is d5, chat. So right. So as I was going to say, white can play d5, but it's still a draw after takes. Now I go c5. And here white takes, of course. I take. Not rook d5 because then rook c8 would be checkmate. The king is cut. So I go king e8 here, and after king e8, it's just a complete draw. White basically is to check, take, and take, and take, and we just reach this very, very basic rook versus rook, just draw. So Fabiano played rook c5, so I took and played queen b3 here. Apparently, I mean, it's still completely fine because after queen h5, white's got an active queen, active rook, and bishop. My rook on a6 guards the pawn, but now my rook is very passive and it can't do a whole lot here. So I was very happy that I played f5 because I thought that at this point, if I'm not careful, I could end up being much worse eventually. Like white can play like queen h2 and rook h5, queen g4, rook g5. A lot of dangers here for white, and a lot of attacking ideas because my rooks are just kind of sitting in the sun, not doing anything. Thank you to Lee Relay for the sub with Prime. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the sub. So at this point, it just looks very sketchy. So I played f5 here to cut the coordination of the queen and the rook, and I also want to go like rook f8, rook f6, rook h6 with a queen b1, and then sauce him on the h file if I can. So Fabiano went g3, which I thought was a very bad move. Oh, is rook f8 winning? Surely it's not winning. Yeah. No, it's not winning. Computer is insane. So it's still better, but it's hard to prove because this rook is just so bad, and I can't really move it because then he takes the pawn and his rook gets active. So I think it's very balanced here. So therefore I decided, you know what, I'll just take the pawn. Fabiano goes king g2. I played rook f8, queen e2, and now I play queen d3, but the problem is after takes rook c3 in this position, it's just very drawish because I thought it was drawish. Maybe it's not drawish. So I played rook h8. I mean, I guess I go king e7, but I thought after rook c2, king d6. Why is the computer giving me such an edge? Yeah, I think computer's full of you know what. I don't believe that black's that much better here. There's also maybe bishop c7 as well to put the bishop here. Yeah, the computer's full of nonsense. I think this is completely fine for white. Commentators were simping for Fabiano the whole game. What's up with that? I mean, first of all, you have Lawrence Trent who hates me to begin with. He doesn't like me at all. And then secondarily, he also was Fabiano's manager for a while, so it's not really a surprise that he's not a fan of me. As for the others, I don't really know. I mean, Sasha's the only guy whose opinion I actually care about. Sasha and Peter are the only guys who I actually care about. What they say is they're the only guys who I care about. They're the only people who really know what's going on. So I played rook h8, rook c2, played g5 again. I mean, computer says black's better. I just don't really buy it. So I mean, I don't know. I just don't buy it. So I played g5. Fabiano went g4. Very good move by Fabiano. Basically ending the game here. King g6 takes, rook c5, rook e8. And now we just start repeating moves here because, again, there's not much that I can do. I don't really want to push these pawns because then something's going to hang. Can't really remove this rook. At some point, he's going to push these pawns. So it's just very, very dry. And it is what it is. So therefore, we just repeat the game, and it ends in a draw. So, yeah, it is what it is, chat. Anyway, but the game ends in a draw, so we draw the third game. We move into game 4 between Fabiano and I. This game, I had the white pieces. And in this game, my goal really more than anything was just make sure that I don't take any risks. Because getting 1 point in this situation, knowing that Jan had already lost the second game, I didn't know he was going to win the third game. I thought he was going to lose the third game. Basically the goal was, just make sure you get the 1 point on the board and then you play an Armageddon for 1 point. Basically, just really make sure that you lock up the top 4 essentially. Because that's the end goal. Like, you need to be top 4. So it doesn't matter. If I play brilliancy and beat Fabiano, I get 3 points. But if I mess it up and I lose this game, I would have been very dicey, to put it mildly. So play the same line of the Slav. And then I play this knight c4, and Fabiano deviates with rook d8 here. Slightly different line. Completely fine. Knight c4, bishop d2, knight d7. Now I went rook c1, bishop e4. Thank you to Mr. Popezilla for the 6 months. Thank you so much. Tesla plus 9.5. Yeah, I saw it at plus 8 earlier. I haven't been looking since I started the stream. Thank you to Triangle Squirt for the Prime sub. Thank you so much. So here I played bishop b4. Now c5 was played. So I played queen a3. Again, not a very inspiring choice by me. the point is basically just to kill the game. Are Fabiano and I friends from the time spent together in U.S. chess? Well, Fabiano like he was too young when he first started playing chess. So Fabiano left the United States when he was about like 10 or 11 years old, I believe it was. So obviously, I mean, I was like, what was I, like 16 or 17 at that point already? So it's like, you're 16 or 17, you're not going to be friends with a 10-year-old. That's just, weird. Like, seriously weird. There's something wrong with you if you are, unless it's your brother, obviously. So yeah, so I mean, like, he left when he was like 10 or 11, and then Thank you for that comment, McCaniac. Thank you for that comment. That's a great comment, dude. I mean, okay, so as I was saying about Fabiano, he left when he was like 10 or 11. I think it was around that age. And he was living in Hungary for many years. Then he was in Lugano, and then he was in Madrid. Before he came back to the U.S. So for that reason, like, I didn't really know Fabiano, like, because just different generation. I mean, I only started knowing him around like 2013, 2014, when he started breaking the top, and playing tournaments. And then 2015 when he switched federations to the U.S. as well. How many languages does who speak? Fabiano, he speaks, I think, English and some Italian, maybe some Spanish from being in Madrid as well. So yeah. Anyway, chat. So as I was saying, though, we're just sort of a different generation. So it's just not the same thing, obviously. But we are amicable. Like, we are, or amicable. Sorry, not amicable. Amicable. Sorry. Let me pronounce words correctly. Let's pretend that I actually speak English. Anyway. So yeah. No, I've only lived in the United States. I've only lived in the United States. I've never lived anywhere else. I mean, I've spent time in Canada. That's the only place that I've spent time, is in Canada. I'm not doing commentary in other languages, chat. I'm only speaking American today. So, okay, so here I played bishop takes a3. Fabiano played rook c8. Now I played knight to e1. Now I played king f8. Why Capilano bridge? Because I spent a fair chunk of time in Vancouver, British Columbia. Vancouver, greatest city in the world, hands down, if you can afford it, obviously. That's no mean feat, being able to afford Vancouver, but yeah, I spent a lot of time in Canada, so that's why I always will have a deep affinity for Vancouver. It's always going to be a place that's very near and dear to my heart. So yeah, so I do love Canada. Vancouver represent. Yeah, thank you, Crazy Canuck 20 for the 4 months. Yeah, I'll always love Vancouver. I mean, the West End, of course, downtown. You go North Shore. You can go to like Steveston if you want to go way down south. Like you can go, east and up into Garibaldi, into the park. So much stuff. I mean, greatest city in the world, greatest. I mean, that's not even necessarily in the city anymore, but greatest place in the world, hands down. So, all right, chat. Anyway, King F2 is what I played here. The goal here, as I said before, Chad, is at this point I realized I'd already done something wrong, and maybe even slightly worse at this point. So I live in Steveston. Yeah, I've been everywhere in BC. I really have. No, Vancouver is not cold at all. Why not live in Vancouver? Well, first of all, do I really want to take a break? Do you guys want to hear some story time or not? Do you guys want story time or not? Or do you want me to just go over the games? What do you want? Okay, you guys want story time. So yeah, so actually in 2000 and I believe it was 2009. So in 2008 I went to Vancouver in about March. On and off I was there for I said 2008. Yeah, on and off I was there from about March of 2008 till about January of 2009. Of course I did not have residency, so I was sort of popping in, popping out. And then in 2009, I moved to Seattle. So I basically stayed very close to the border, just on the U.S. side, essentially. I mean, I guess Seattle's an hour and a half from Vancouver. But I moved to Seattle in 2009. And then during that time, actually, towards the end of 2009, I decided that I wanted to actually try to live in Canada. So I actually started the process to get residency where I could live in Vancouver. But it was at that time, I think in March or April of 2010, I played this tournament called the Bill Wright Memorial in St. Louis. And I played this tournament. I had a great time. It was just a short weekend event, nothing special. But after that tournament, due in large part actually me talking with Ben Feingold, I ended up moving to St. Louis because they essentially offered me a role and a position within the chess club. So I moved to St. Louis in 2010, and that effectively ended the whole process. I decided basically I was going to move to St. Louis, and I never really I put the whole process on hold, and I never finished it. So that's basically kind of the story in terms of like how I ended up in St. Louis and going forward. So let's keep going. So I played knight e3 here again, trying to exchange pieces. Knight e3, king e3. Fabiano played a5. Maybe here black can still play like e5 and try to claim some kind of small advantage, but again, it's very hard to prove anything. So a5, f4, knight d7 takes, knight d3. Yeah, but Yasser left Seattle for Amsterdam, which I don't know. Seattle's a weird place. I always will have a certain respect for Seattle, but the problem with Seattle is that there's the Seattle freeze. So those of you who live in Seattle or you know Seattle well, like I think Seattle is one of the greatest places in the world to live if you're not like single, honestly. But if you're single, I think Seattle is just I mean terrible. I really do. Like you get frozen out. You get frozen out of the social scene completely. So yeah, so that's what I would say about Seattle. Is that if you have a partner, if you're like basically married or whatever it is, Seattle is a great place to be. But if you're single and you're not like from the area, you don't know a lot of people. Like I mean, you're just it's very brutal. The Seattle freeze is a real thing, chat. It totally is. So yeah, chat. Just go Google Seattle freeze and you'll find what I'm talking about. Anyway, so Fabiano played knight b6 here. I went king f3, knight c4, a4, rook c6, b4. I was very happy to find a4 and b4. Wait, what? Oh no, are you serious? b3. Oh shoot. I could have played b3. I completely, at this point, I'd already zoned out. I thought that I was just playing for a draw. I completely missed this. b3. Oh. And white is just much better because knight d2, king e3, knight b3, I can take. Takes, and I go rook b1, knight d4, rook b7, and white's down a pawn here. But like, or rook a7. Oh, so bad. Oh, so bad. And white's better. Thank you to Rich Showed for the 200 bits. Thank you so much. Oh. Yeah. Oh, very sad. Oh, very, very poor. I didn't even see this. I at this point, I had zoned out. I'm just like, okay, I'm getting the 1 point. I'm going to shut it down. So I just played b4, but I guess b3 is very good. I completely missed this. So now a5, and basically the point is at this point I just want to exchange b for a. We're going to end up with a four pawns on the same side here, and it's just going to be a draw. Thank you to Path Fishy for the sub with Prime. Thank you so much. So knight d6, I just trade, go a6, end the game on the spot. And here Fabiano plays knight c5, and we just play like a couple of moves, and we just agree to a draw. So at this point we drew the fourth game. My middle name, well, I mean, Christopher is technically my first name. I never tried to get it changed, but Hikaru is what I've gone by since I was 2 years old, literally. So yeah. Anyway, chat. All right. So this game ended in a draw. So let's keep going. Let's go to the Armageddon. Let's go to Armageddon. So let's look at the Armageddon game. Even though I lost, we'll look at it from my point of view. Okay, chat, please chill out. So castles e3, knight bd7, cd5, knight d5. So takes, bishop d3, c5. I got the point. Yeah, I got the point. So yeah. So I played c5 here. So here, so Fabiano castled. I had looked at this before the game because Fabiano previously had said something on the commentary about thinking that in a must-win game, cd5 was the best try. So he did it this game. So, okay, rook b1. This is all correct. I think black is fine here. But again, it's a position that's not trivial to play. I guess f5 would have been... f5 looks reasonable. h6 is a hard move to play here just because you open up the diagonal long term. Thank you to AG Poison OW for the sub with Prime. Thank you so much. No, Hikaru is the name I go by. It's my Japanese first name. It's what I've always gone by. So, yeah. No, Hikaru is what I've always gone by, chat. So knight f6, knight e5, and now I played bishop to e6. Yeah, like in this position, I've already let it out. I've let the cat out of the bag here. I should have played f5 just to clamp the structure, because after h3, I can put the knight on e4 and capture. We noticed Fabiano was getting increments in the on the Chess24 website. Was everything all right on your end? Really? Because I could have sworn at the start of the game we were making moves. His time reset back up to like 457 or something, when it showed as like 455 on my screen. So if you guys were seeing it too, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it definitely looked like I don't know if there was lag or what was going on, but something looked wrong. I will say that. Because I know what in like move 4, move 5, it showed him at like 456 or 455, and then it popped back up to like 458 or something. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong, but you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. So I played knight f6, knight e5. Now I went bishop e6. Fabiano went f3. Again, not the best move here. I think white's much better after bishop g5, because if I go bishop e7, he has rook b7 here. So yeah. Anyway, he played f3, played knight d7. Again, I think at this point, I'm fine. This is where I started to lose the thread. Okay, g5. I mean, okay, like what in an Armageddon game, playing g5 here is completely insane. Yeah, completely insane. I don't know. So okay, so I played rook e8. He played rook d1. No controversy. Fabiano won fair and square. There's no controversy, chat. So don't try to stoke something. Okay, so I took. This looked right, but here again, I think here is where I went wrong. No, maybe bishop d6 is still correct. And now I went, knight f8, queen f2. And rook f6 is just a ridiculous move here. Like a completely ridiculous move. Literally the stupidest move on the board. I should have played rook b6 here, I think. And maybe white is still better, but you don't just get e4 in. And it's not so trivial. So rook f6 is just a stupid move that I played, because again, I looked at my clock here and I thought I would have like 130, 140, and somehow I had 1 minute 15 seconds out of nowhere, and it's just like completely insane. So rook b1, queen d6. Again, I mean, the whole idea of rook f6 is just so artificial, stopping e4. Like white can play g5, can do many different things here. So rook b1, queen d6, g5, rook e6. He played e4. And now here I played queen a3. I mean, how did I miss queen f4? Like, what is wrong with me? How did I miss queen f4? Not that this isn't still very messy after e5 and f4, but this is insane that I missed queen f4. How did I miss queen f4 here? Wow, I'm speechless. I don't know how I missed queen f4 here. Completely insane. Yeah. Why is playing blitz on Chess24 hard? I don't know, but you know, I was talking to someone else earlier. I won't say who they were, and they said to me that when they play bullet on Chess24, they have trouble getting past move 40. Is what they said. So, you know, so e4, queen a3. And at this point, I mean, it's just, yeah, I didn't have much time here. So, so I played queen a3. Yeah. So e5, rook e7, rook b5. And now, I mean, already the game is completely gone for black. But yeah. Is that an inside joke? No, it's not a joke, chat. What they said is, you know, if they're on like Lead Chess or Chess.com, they can make like 60 to 70 moves, but on Chess24, they have real trouble getting past move 40 without flagging. So, okay, so queen c3, rook d5, knight e6. Yeah, queen f4 is a much better move. I mean, queen f4 is just a much better move, obviously, instead of queen a3. So e5, rook e7 here, rook b5, queen c3. Now rook d5, knight e6 is what I played. Bishop a4, rook f8, and I mean, everything is winning here for Fabiano. So Fabiano played f4, and I mean, at this point, I can already pretty much just resign. He's got the passed pawn. He's got like f5. I mean, it's all just really, really bad. So I played g6 here. I mean, not really much I can do. I'm just getting absolutely wrecked. Knight g7. Fabiano went bishop c2. I mean, position's so good that he doesn't even have to be precise here. Knight e8. c6, which is slightly wrong, maybe. Although I guess, yeah. I mean, even though Fabiano wasn't being precise here, it's already just like the position's so bad that there's no hope unless I get some kind of swindle and win this pawn, which realistically is not going to happen. Fabiano is much too strong. Here he played bishop e4. I actually saw bishop b3 during the game, and if he goes bishop b3, I would have resigned here. ASAP, you already asked that question the other day about PhD. We're not doing that again. So bishop e4. Played rook d8, queen f3. Not even the absolute best. Oh, I have knight b5, and Oh, I played the wrong order. Oh, I put the knight on the wrong square. I guess even here I have a chance with knight b5. Oh. Wow. Oh, that is gross. I might have been able to draw the game if I'd seen this. Oh, wow. Wow, so even here there's a trick with knight b5. The point being that after knight b5, white goes d5, you go knight d4. And you fork the queen and the rook. If he takes, obviously you just take. And if he goes queen c3, you check, and then you check, but you also create another fork, and now you pick up the pawn on d5 here. Wow, that is so gross. It's still very good for white, obviously, and I mean probably down a minute on the clock here I would lose this, but technically this probably is actually a draw at this point. Wow. 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 Jeez, insane. So I traded, went 96. I mean, and I get a pawn back, but it's not really doing anything because he gets a strong pawn, and I still can't break the chain, and he's going to win the pawn on c4 here. So I played knight d3, trying to create a fork. Of course, Fabiano just goes d7, and now it's all over. King f8. He takes, precise move, because now after knight e5, rook c8, king e7, white just has rook e1 with the pin, and everything's just completely overloaded here. I can't go f6, he just takes, and then he takes the rook on d8. So by this point, was I frustrated? I mean, by this point, I knew I was just losing. So I mean, there's nothing to think about if you're just lost. But anyway, yeah. So d7, now knight b4, e6, and I mean at this point, and anything wins for white. Rook e1 and rook e8. Whichever rook I take, of course, he's going to make a queen, so it's completely winning for white. So I lost this game to Fabiano in the Armageddon. So that means that I got 1 point, Fabiano I got 2 points, but we are doing quite well still. So so I guess I will pop up the standings then. Let's see if I have the standings. Yeah, there we go. All right, so here are the standings now after today. This is round 5, day 2. Chat, so you should be able to see them. I'll move this over just a touch so you guys can see it. There you go. Yeah, so there are the standings, chat. So as you see, after today, they list Ding Liren in first place. I was under the impression that on tie breaks, I'm actually in first place, so I have the most game points. Wait, am I leading on tie breaks, chat? Yeah, so I'm leading on tie breaks, and they list me in second place. Like, unbelievable. Unbelievable, chat. That's hilarious. So I'm leading on tie breaks, and Chess24, like, they choose to put me in second place on their standings. It's not alphabetical, chat, because Carlsen comes before Nakamura. Okay, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. Like, I mean, whatever, who cares? But it doesn't really matter because the first 4 spots. Actually, no, it does matter though, chat, because it does matter for the knockout if we're in the top 4 spots. So it does matter actually that the order that they listed in. So so I'm actually in first place, and Magnus is Magnus second or is Magnus third? Maxime and Jan are not alphabetical. Also a good point. You're right. Maxime Vachilagrov and Jan Nepomniachtchi are not alphabetically sorted because I comes before M. Good catch, chat. Yeah, I mean, a good catch. Good catch, chat. Okay, so I think I've got the correct. Let me see. Let's see if I got the correct one. I'm trying to get the correct image because this is wrong, chat. So, 1 second, chat. It's not loading. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go, chat. Let me. Okay, 1 sec. Why is it being so slow? Let me move this off. Save image. 1 second. Okay, there we go. 1 second, chat. I'm gonna update this. Let's update with the actual one. Okay, chat. There we go. Okay, here are the actual standings. Here are the actual standings. Okay, I think you guys can still see it, right? I'm gonna not cover my face, but here are the actual standings, chat. So I'll move this up top. I think you guys can still see it, right? So they're the actual standings. So those are the actual correct standings. So the standings are: I am in first place, Magnus is in second place, Ding Liren is in third, and Fabiano is in 4th place. So 3 of us on 11 points, and Fabiano is in 4th place with 10 points. As you see, there are 2 people on 5 points, so it more or less is knocked out. I thought it was a knockout stage. Am I wrong, chat? Isn't it a knockout or not? Or am I wrong, chat? Isn't it a knockout or am I wrong? You guys tell me. I think it's a knockout, right? So basically, it's probably gonna be a knockout. I think it's 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. So yeah. Anyway, chat. Those are the actual standings done by a computer. No room for humans and their errors and biases and all this other stuff. We trust the computers. Computers give us these standings, so these are the correct standings. So as you see, right now I'm in 1st place. Magnus in 2nd, Ding in 3rd, Fabiano in 4th. So as of right now, I would play Fabiano in round 1, I believe. Or I played him in the semifinal knockout match. If we're playing, who do you prefer to avoid? I mean, I don't care who I play. Obviously, everybody would prefer not to play Magnus, but number 1 seed chooses who they want to play in round 1 according to Dr. Usetic. Oh, it's not 1 plays 4. Oh, really? Wait, but number 1 seed chooses, but isn't that like? No, surely number 1 doesn't choose, right? Wait. Usetic? Am I going to have to pull up the contract, you guys? Am I going to have to pull up the actual regs? Let me pull up the regulations, chat. We'll check the regulations very quickly. Let's see. Okay. Tournament regulations. Okay, let's pull this up. Let me pull up the tournament regs. Time control, preliminaries, whatever. The final 4 will be played in the same provisions, exact schedule, whatever. In case of tie, whatever. Where does it say? Okay, semifinal and final matches. Each match consists of 4 rapid games. In the case of 2-2, in the case of a 2-2 tie, by the way, chat, there will be 2 additional blitz games at 5+3. In the case of 1-1, a second mini match under the same rules will follow. What? In case that match remains tied after 2 blitz mini matches, there's an Armageddon game, 5 versus 4. Okay, that's weird. Thank you to Zach Winter for the gifted sub to 7 Nika. Thank you so much. I'm trying to understand this chat. Okay, so pairings for the semifinals are determined by the standings of the preliminary phase. 1st versus 4th, 2nd versus 3rd. So yeah, so according to regulations, it's 1 versus 4. If they change, then well, whatever. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If somehow Magnus ends up 1st and there's something different, then there's some issue, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, chat, that's what the regulations say. They say 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. But what's very weird about it, chat, is that it says they will confuse if the higher ranked person chooses their color for the first game. Okay. So anyway, chat. So as I was saying though, it's very weird that if you go 2-2, there's 2 blitz matches of 5+3. So it's 2-2. You play 5-3. If those are drawn 2-2, you got 5-3 again. So it's kind of weird. Thank you to not your dad for the gifted tier 1 to Krygex or Kygrex. Thank you so much. We'll see what happens. There's still 2 matches to go. A lot could change. I could be 4th. I could be 1st. I could be 2nd. I could be 3rd. You never know what's going to happen. So a lot more chess to go. A lot more chess still to be played. So these are the correct standings, chat. So as of right now, I am in 1st place. Again, doesn't really matter. Just top 4 is the goal, and then see what happens. I am not guaranteed top 4 at the moment. I mean, like if I lose both matches, Maxime and Jan technically could catch me, but tomorrow Jan has to play. Tomorrow Jan has to play against Magnus, which is no walk in the park. Surely Magnus is going to be out for blood. And then who else has to play? Maxime has to play Fabiano, so it's going to be hard. Maxime has to beat Fabiano, and he has to beat me. So it's looking like it's pretty close to guaranteed. But again, you don't count your chickens until they've hatched. So quite a ways to go. Has Fabiano gotten better at blitz and rapid? I think Fabiano's just very streaky. When he's good at rapid, he's very good. When he's bad, he's really, really bad. So he's very streaky. But anyway, it is what it is. Thank you to B Fulham for the $3 tip. I saw a YouTube video where you're going against Magnus. Yeah, thank you for that, B Fulham. Try to troll. Thanks for the $3. Appreciate it anyway. All right, so let's look at the next game between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Ding Loren. Let's look. POV was Ding, so let's look POV. He was black. Sorry. So, all right. So let's take a look at these games. E4, E5, Knight F3, Knight C6. Okay, Berlin. Takes, knight d2, castles, queen e2, rook e8. So ich bin ein Berliner played in this game by Ding Loren. Seems to be sticking to it. Jan was autopiloting so hard. So knight d7 played by Ding. Bishop d2, bishop f8. Again, black wants to avoid any tricks with the bishop on c5. He also has to worry about kingside attacks here. So Jan plays h4. Jan's play is very odd these days. Well, I mean, I think it's hard. It's hard if you're doing badly in this event. Like if you're doing badly and realistically you have very little chances of qualifying. It's hard to get inspired, honestly. And I think also for Jan, the fact that he's doing badly, it's like he's just like, okay, well, you know, frankly, screw this. I just want to focus on the candidates, kind of. It's so like the whole mentality is just like it's very hard, I think, to stay fully focused when it's like it's going badly. It's going terribly, actually, I should say, not just badly. It's going terribly, and you're just like, it's like I just want to focus on like the real event. So thank you, Private Michael, for the tier 1. So b5, knight e3, knight c5. Jan plays h5. Basically, white goes all in on the king side trying to attack here. So a5, g4, knight e6, and now knight f5 played by Jan, trying to support this knight on f5 and just keep the train rolling on the king side. So a4. They mentioned lockdown was affecting who? Ding? Ding or Jan? Lockdown was affecting who? Sasha said if he was a trainer, he would beat the students who play like Nepo. Funny. Oh, it's affecting Nepo? Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, being stuck inside is pretty sucky, honestly. Like, it's pretty terrible. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not enjoying being stuck inside. Like, but also, I think the difference for Jan or for the people in Russia isn't the lockdown in Russia started much later, right? Like the lockdown started first in Italy and then the rest of Europe and then America. And like it was Russia like 2 weeks ago, I think. So it's like for him, it's like it's the starting phase. Like if you're in Europe, it's like you've been dealing with it for like probably a month and a half now. If you're in Europe, or not Europe, sorry, if you're in the United States, it's been probably about what, like, it's been like a little over a month, I think, since we locked down pretty much here. And like in Russia, I think it's even later. It was like, wasn't it like late March it's late March, I think, when Russia started locking down. So yeah, so in Russia, I think it's like they're the last ones to lock down. So, but yeah, it's been pretty crazy, and I totally get it. Like, I mean, it's hard not to go insane. I'm not going insane because I've got you guys, and I'm a pro streamer now. I've got streaming is my life these days. So Jan looks really bad in this game. I don't like this. This looks really bad for black, for white, I should say. I mean, like, isn't black just much better? Like, you're getting sauce on the queen side. Castles b4. I mean, you're just getting absolutely wrecked over here. Thank you for streaming. Yeah, I mean, it's what I am now. I'm a pro streamer like XQC. I no longer play chess. So, all right. So c4 I don't like. I mean, queen f6 is a much better move here for black. I don't know why he didn't do this. Very strange. Very strange, because if white tries to stop it, then you just take and you're up a pawn here because of the pin. Thank you to Hawkers25 for the gifted sub, to JJ, or no, not JJ, Javi. Thank you so much. We don't go insane because of you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. So anyway, c4, queen f4, rook a6. I mean, I don't understand any of these moves by either players, honestly. XUC folks come to the Chess24 stream. People like, who is this XUC you keep talking about? Well, Chad, I'm sorry, but it seems to me that the chess community is just not very hip. They're not very hip. They're not in tune with what happens on Twitch, apparently. So it's unfortunate, but that's the chess world we live in. So, okay, so d4, bishop e7, e5 played. I mean, isn't white just much better now? Like, what? Maybe not. I mean, I guess you got a blockade, but yeah, this looks, I mean, kind of good for white if white's precise here. Rook g3, good move. c5, okay. Knight e3, queen e4 trade, okay. Just castles? Wait. Why didn't he just castle here? What? Because takes, this can't be great for black. I mean, rook d8, you've got a great knight here. The king is bad. Your pawns are a little bit overextended. Wait a second. Oh, actually, no, you've got rook d7 here as well. Thank you to One Lizard for the sub with Prime. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's a very strange game. I'm confused by all these moves. Because the problem is after c3, I think at some point there's going to be a c3 break, and or a b4 break, and your structure is going to get cracked. So f6, yeah, this is one way to crack the center. And at some point, he's going to crack your queen side, too. g5, takes. Castles, okay. e4. I think you need to be falling for the $3 tip. I don't know if you saw my last dono, but that wasn't meant as a troll. Sorry. I love your videos with XQC, though. Thank you, B. Fulham, for the $3 tip. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I love doing collabs with other streamers. You guys want a Pog song? Okay, here we go. Here's your Pog song, chat. Here's your Pog song. Here's your Pog song. You want your Pog song? Let's find it. Okay, here's your Pog song, chat. There's your Pog song. Okay, so I guess I don't understand e4 because now after rook f5, white is just much better here. So this whole game makes no sense to me at all. Like e4, rook d4, c3 is very logical. Just simplify the queen side. No risk for black. But after e4, rook f5, now white is just better because your structure is terrible. And you've got all kinds of weaknesses here. So I don't understand this at all. So takes, bishop b4, b5, bishop d6. Okay. King b1. Still looks very good for white. I mean, this pawn is weak. You've got to pass pawn. The knight's going to help escort up the board. So rook f8, knight c4, rook f2, rook f4, g6. Wait. Okay, I guess rook d5 is very good. I don't really understand why. Check king f7. And rook c1. Okay, it's way too dank. I don't really trust it. Way too dank. So g6. Okay, logical human move. Try to put pressure on the back rank. Takes, rook f6. Very good move by Ding. And actually now if you lose the pawn, it's going to be even material. But with so few pawns on the board, it's going to be very hard for white to prove this. So rook g5, bishop c7. Very good move by Ding. Just simplifying. And takes, king f7. And now you just move the bishop. You're going to move the rook and the pawn. So at this point, white has to bail out and make the draw. So c6, king e7, knight b6, king d6. Active king, bring it closer. Knight, king a2, bishop e5, takes, rook g4, and rook c4. And now it's just a draw because black's going to take the pawn on c6, and then there's nothing nothing that white can really do here. So he goes knight b6, takes, knight c4, king d5, and now, importantly, when you take the rook, you can just throw in this check first, and now it's just a draw, knight versus pawn. So knight e3, they repeat, he takes, and of course this happens in the game anyway, takes, and king c6, and now the game is just, I guess they played a few more moves, and the game ends in a draw. So let's move to the next game between Ding and Jan. And Ding was white in this game, right? So d4, knight f6, c4, g6, f3, d5. So it's a Grunfeld. All pretty standard theory. Knight c6, castles, queen d6. I actually beat Fabiano in this line many, many years ago in a tournament in France in like 2015. So I will always have fond memories of this variation. Okay, knight b5, queen d7, king b1, e6, knight c3, rook d8, d5. Queen e8, queen c1, knight a7. This is also something that I played many years ago against Wesley So as well. So I'm familiar with this line, but it looks to me like I feel like this is supposed to be considered slightly dubious by black. And actually, Jan lost the game, so it probably is just dubious. So h4 played here. So, I mean, just looks really good for white. The problem is your structure is bad. Your knight is really awkward here. You need to try to break the center, but white's also attacking on the king side as well. So very tough position to play. Jan plays knight b5, knight e2, e6. Again, you can't push this one to break it, so you push this one. Of course, you would lose a knight. So h5 takes, hg, fg. If you take with the h pawn here, I think white probably is just much better after bishop h6. Again, there's going to be some kind of really nasty attack on the h-file long term. I think, although it's always tricky. In rapid games, you don't know which way to take. But this looks sketchy at best. So he plays fg, takes, knight d5, bishop e6, knight ef4. Okay, bishop f7. Now bishop b5, ab5, a3. Wait, again, I don't understand. Somehow white's just much better, and then white messes it all up. I'm really confused. All these games between Ding and Jan seem weird. Like, this just looks good for I mean, maybe not good for black, but black's got 2 bishops, very good king safety. He's eyeing the pawn. He's got triplets on the b file, but that shouldn't really be a big issue here. So he goes g5. I mean, seriously? Seriously? What is g5? Because knight c7, and now you can just resign. You're gonna lose a rook, and you're just busted. Takes knight d5, and I mean, oh, he pre-moved it. I mean, it's just like game over. Like, he played g5 with 15 minutes on the clock for reals. Seriously? You guys are serious? Did he really do it? He like had 15 minutes on the clock? I mean, wow, just wow. So h6, queen c3. Again, white, really all white needs to do is make sure there are no like threats with b4 stuff on the a file. He took 2 seconds with 15 minutes. Wow. Okay, so queen b4. So, of course, I mean, white just needs to be technically sound here. With the triple pawns, especially, black really can't get play. The center is consolidated. And now you can just slowly take over the c file. So, rook c8, queen e7. Yeah, rook a3 would have lost, chat. Because if you go rook a3, there's queen c8, I think. Or actually, no, you just take. Take, check, and king d3, check, king e2, and the king is very safe here. And white's just up 2 rooks, basically. So, rook a3 doesn't work. So, you go h6. But again, I mean, just queen e7. Yeah, very nice technique by Ding. Again, anything wins here, but if you get queens off the board, it's just bye-bye. So queen b7. Queen d7. I think knight e7 is knight e7 also just winning? Knight e7 is also just winning, but why do you need to allow tactics? You're just so completely winning here that it doesn't matter. Rook c5, knight e7. Queen f6, knight f5. Very good move. Still no mate threats, and if this bishop goes off the board, then the whole attack just dies. So that's just GG. All right, so that was the second game. So let's go to the third game. Jan was white against Ding. Jan won this game, actually, so we'll look at his point of view. Okay, more Berlin, same line. Okay, a4. So he plays a4 this game. He does something different. a5, bishop d2. Puts pressure on the pawn on a5. Also pressure on the pawn on e5. Thank you to XXX420 YOLO Scope XXX for the tier 1. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was just, I have nothing to say. I mean, I don't know how you play like that. So, okay, so b6 played here by Ding, bishop c3, knight g4. Normally, black wants the knight on d7, so having to put the knight on g4 looks slightly wrong. In fact, knight d7 is completely fine. Because now the knight ends up on h6, and normally you don't want the knight on f7, you want it on f8, e6, is why I sort of had that look. And actually, bishop d2 is a very strong move by Jan, because now the knight has big issues. It can't go back because you just get your pawn structure completely destroyed here. So g5. Okay, so basically Ding decides, you know what, my position's really bad. I'm just going to go all in and attack. So h3, h4, knight f7 takes, probably knight h2. And, I mean, white's already much better. Knight e3, knight f5, queen h5. I mean, what are these guys doing? So rook e6, knight e3. Like I said, put the knight on f5. Rook g6, knight f5. Okay, this I'm speechless. Honestly, I'm speechless. I don't understand anything that's going on in any of these games. Rook f6, queen g4, h6, and now queen h3. Yeah, and white's just going to be winning. He's going to go knight g4 at some point. There's just going to be too much pressure on all these critical points on e5 and g5 and h6. So queen d7, knight g4. Oh my. What is this? I think the quality of play was better in the other match. You think? You think? Really? I mean, I'm speechless. Honestly, I'm just completely speechless. I don't know what to say about these games. Like, this is incredibly bad by Ding and Jan. I mean, okay, let's go to game 4. I mean, I was expecting to be able to say more about these games, but there's just very little that I can say. So, okay, there's something completely different finally. Okay, so e4 by ding. Knight e4, rook e1. Wait, you're not supposed to take the pawn, though. Thank you to Big Evo 8 for the 100 bits. Cheers for us potters. Knight f6 check is an incredible move. Yeah. You're not supposed to take here, though. You're supposed to play like d6 or g6 and bishop g7. What is this? I mean, white's just much better already. Like c4, I mean, white has great development here in the center. He's got a nice long diagonal. Okay, so castles, knight c3. He takes? What? The only thing that black has to worry about is white getting d4. How do you trade? You remove a defender, and now white's just going to be much, much better. What is this? Okay, one. Okay, so bishop e6. So, of course, he realizes d4 is coming. So, takes d4 anyway, and white's just... I mean... White's just better. I mean, it's not winning or anything, but white's just much better here. Okay, bishop e6, b3. I mean, I think black can probably hold with correct play, but very unpleasant position here. You're going to end up with some sort of ISO eventually because white has such active pieces here. Thank you to Error Code for the sub with Prime. Thank you so much. Point behind d4 being so good is that if you ever take, you end up with this ISO, and the queen is really good. Also, I can take on c5 and leave you with some kind of like weak pawn on c5 down the road with bishop f4. So thank you to Terminato for the Prime sub. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really have no... I'm speechless. Takes, queen d8, bishop a3. Wait a second. Okay, this looks... Wait. Okay, takes looks right. Takes looks right. Okay. Rook b8. But now knight a4, and again, it's just like... And just like this again, this is why d4 is so good, because the structure is very bad for black. You end up with this very weak pawn on c5 that you can't really defend. And to make matters worse, Super Mario, I mean, I think you got to adjust the volume on your end, because everyone has said my volume is fine, so it's on your end. You got to change the volume on your end. So okay, and the other problem for Jan here is also a very unhappy position. Like there's no counterplay, or just slightly worse. So I would totally expect Jan to be blitzing at this point. Knight d7, got to guard the pawn. Oh, nasty. Bishop d5. Ooh, what a nasty move. Because now if you take, I remove the bishop which guards the pawn, and now I also hit your knight, and you're going to lose the pawn, and this is just very unhappy. This probably is still a draw, I'm guessing. Like something like this, like with a5, this is probably still a draw with correct play. But again, when you're already down and out and you need to win the match in regulation to have a shot to qualify, it's just a very miserable position to play. So Jan decides, you know what, I'm not going to have any part of that. He goes bishop c6 because he wants to play for some kind of phantom checkmate on the diagonal instead, but it's never going to come here. He goes a6. Okay, f4. White wants to bring the king in. Also wants to stop checkmate on this long diagonal as well. So h6, king f2, bishop b5, king e3. Already getting very unhappy. Wait, what? No, wait a second. Can't he take and play rook e8? Surely this is a draw. Okay, a4 takes, bishop d7. No, I mean, come on, this is just a draw. King d4, f6, like... I mean, it's a draw. Easy draw here. Like king c5, I go king f7, bishop d6, or bishop d8. I mean, come on. This is just an easy draw. I mean, I have no words. This is just such an easy draw. How do you not play this? He goes rook d8. Okay, rook c7. So Jan basically decides, you know what? I don't want to draw. I have to play for the win, so he'll keep rooks on the board. Okay. I mean, I have no words. I have no words. I literally have no words. I mean, rook b d8 actually looks like a good move, right? Because if you take, then you have like bishop c6, right? And it's just a draw. Takes, king f7, and you're just completely fine. I mean, what is this? Jan was low on time. He only had 15 moves left. Does someone have a clip of what Grishuk said after this move? Chat, does somebody have a clip of what Grishuk said? If you guys have a clip, post it. Yeah, you do? No, I don't want Sasha's dream. I want the clip of him when Jan played Rook D2, if anybody has it. Okay, is that the right one? Let's see. Is this the right one? I don't think so. Yeah, exactly. Sasha always knows what's up. Like, he always knows what's up. Oh, wait, no, this is about something else. Okay, this is something completely different, but completely different question, but very funny nonetheless. Very funny. I mean, very funny. That's hilarious. Anyway, does somebody have the clip of Rook D2? If somebody's got the clip when Rook D2 was played, I'll pull it up. If you don't, though, then we'll move on. Somebody have a clip of Rook D2? Because I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm just so confused. Because like Rook D2, Rook F7, you just lose. Like, it's not even a question. You just lose. Like, I don't even understand it. Oh, it is Sasha's dream? Oh, I thought Sasha's dream was when I flag him. Okay, let's see let's see. How's this look? One more time, chat. One more time, chat. Oh my gosh. That is comical. That's freaking gold. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's oh my gosh, that's just priceless. Anyway, let's finish up this game quickly. King F5, King G4, Rook H2, King H8. Now you just bring the bishop. It could be C5, D6, B4. All three squares work because there are never enough checks. If you push the pawn, my king is safe. You check, I just go to the dark square on F6. So this is just game over, I guess. Okay, bishop E5. There's some bishop E5 of course loses because you have Rook E5 and check, and there's a checkmate on H2. Bishop covers all the squares. So you don't want to do that, but of course anything else wins. Bishop C5, very precise move. Just don't avoid the trap and put it on a square where nothing can capture it. Rook D2, Bishop B4, Rook C2, and now trade. So he finds a way not to lose on the spot with Bishop C3, but it's still, you're down what, 2 pawns, 3 pawns? Like, I mean, okay. Yeah, and just game over. I mean, I literally don't know what to say. I'm so confused. This whole match is so weird. Yeah. Just so bizarre. Literally, I have nothing to say. So, just like very, very weird match. And just very, very weird. Wait. Is this the same one? I mean, that's just priceless, chat. That's freaking priceless. I mean, that's just so good. Just so good. I mean, there's just Sasha's the best. What can I say? Sasha, Bob Vinnick would have them shot. Ah, jeez. Yeah, but I mean, what can I say? I mean, really, I have no words. And of course, Grishuk says that when his son is in the back, son or daughter, I don't know which one is in the background, which of course makes it all the more comical. Honestly, like it makes it even funnier to me. But can you imagine? Don't Sasha and Sasha and Jan have to play. They still have to play in the candidates, right? They still have to play one more game in the candidates. Can you imagine them playing in the candidates? Like, I'm wondering if Jan is gonna be like, you know what? F you, I'm not gonna shake your hand or something. That would be pretty classic. But anyway, that's just they're friends. Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, it's so good. It's so good. That's just like I love it. Sasha's amazing. What can I say? So yeah. Anyway, this last game, Ding won, so of course he has 11 points as well. So obviously there are 3 of us on 11 points, as I pointed out before. One last look before we start playing some blitz. So yeah, I am in first place with 11 points. Magnus is in second place with 11 points. Ding Loren is in third place with 11 points. We all have 11 match points, so that's the first tiebreak, and then after that it's the board points. I have 12.5, Magnus has 11.5, and Ding has 11. So at the moment I'm in first place, and then Fabiano is in fourth place with 10 match points. So at the moment it's looking pretty good for me to qualify. Obviously top 4 qualifies, so still quite a ways to go, but we're on track. So all right, chat. So I think I'm going to take a short break. I'm just going to go use the restroom, get some water since I only have cafe in my cup here. So I'm going to go get some cafe, use the restroom, and I will be back in like a minute or two. And then we'll probably play some blitz or play some blitz, do some puzzle rush. But I'm probably going to be streaming for quite a while because even though I lost the match today, I mean, more or less I've qualified. So it's going to be, I'm probably going to stream for like 12 hours like XQC. So you can't hear me. There's something wrong with your sound, chat. There's something wrong over 9,000. You got to adjust the sound on your end. So I'm going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. And in like a minute.